Hi folks. Well, this is a post that I have been looking forward to make for the past couple of weeks. I have been working real hard on it. I have gathered a lot of information. I got to get my facts straight before I make a video, as you know. And it's so big, I'm going to have to break it up into two parts. It's titled Disney's Path to the Dark Side. And let's begin with part one here. When Disney took over the franchise, when they bought it, you can go back and look at my video. A few of you have commented on it and how funny it was, my face of shock and horror that Disney had bought Star Wars. And immediately, right then, I knew the expanded universe was in trouble. I even started saying something like, yeah, well, if they get rid of the expanded universe, I'm done. I'm done. Because I knew the expanded universe was on the bubble immediately. Because now it's owned by a big franchise who does not care about all that continuity. They're all about the money. Not to say Lucas wasn't about the money. You know he was about the money. But he made sure to keep everything together for those hardcore fans. Now here comes a soulless corporation who doesn't care about those fans. And they're all about breaking it up and making some money. So let's talk about their decisions. The first thing they did was they got rid of Star Wars detours. Remember the Seth Green, George Lucas collaboration where there was going to be some kind of comedy or parody of Star Wars? Well, they got rid of it. Who cares, right? None of us really knew that much about it to care about it not being made or not going to happen. And then the next step they took was canceling the Clone Wars series. Now this angered a few fans. Not myself. Those of you who read my blog know that I kind of didn't like the Clone Wars. But anyway, they made up for it and they said, hey, guess what? We're going to give you Rebels from the same team and the same director, Dave Filoni, is going to make these new films. You're going to love them. It's a great TV show called Rebels. Now, I have heard plenty of complaints about Rebels and I think they are all warranted. I mean, when you have Freddie Prinze Jr. voicing a cowboy Jedi... Cowboy Jedi, I can't do that. Let me try that seriously. Hold on. Freddie Prinze Jr. is voicing a cowboy Jedi. I can't do it. Anyway, so there's still some fans upset about that. Then their next decision was taking the axe to LucasArts, which kind of confused me. I didn't really know what it was about. Why, when you have an in-house gaming corporation within your fold now, why would you fire them all, eliminate their stuff, and then sell it out to people like EA? Who is like the ultimate villain for everyone who loves video games, right? Now, I don't understand that. Someone who knows video game knowledge will probably have better insight into that reasoning than I would. But I think if you had this place that does video games, wouldn't that be a boon for Disney? Wouldn't you want to maybe transfer all your Marvel games to them? And I don't know. Star Wars 1313 looked very interesting. The more I saw about it, the more I loved it. And did you know that George Lucas originally had big plans for Star Wars 13? He wanted to combine Star Wars 1313 with books, comics, toys. Even at one time, the Star Wars Underworld, the TV show, was supposed to be connected to Star Wars 13. He wanted this big, kind of like how Shadows of the Empire came out, multimedia project. That had been so awesome. Now, why would you mothball a game like Star Wars 1313, which was almost completed? I don't know how much of it was completed, but I know it was over 50%, close to 70 or 60%. Why would you mothball that game like that if it was almost done? Why not just give it to another production company and have them finish off, have those developers finish off the game? That has happened before in video game history. I don't know why they didn't do that. They chose for Blizzard to do Battlefront, which they've had a few issues, but they're finally getting it done. And then the other game, Attack Squadron, right? Oh wait, it's not going to happen. Okay, they've stumbled out the gate on their video games, but overall, I hear a few people complain about that, but not that many people. Well, then came the big news, right? The news that got us all up in an uproar. No more expanded universe. That's non-canon. That's garbage. We're going to have our own canon now. And you know how I feel about that. Not to repeat myself from the story group propaganda, but I do want to give you another thing. I still hear EU haters say, well, they would tie their hands down creativity. They could not be creative. They could not be imaginative if the story's already been told. That's one thing one guy said. He's like, you know what? I don't want a story about books that have already come out. Who's going to go see that? I don't know. Check out the Harry Potter series. That made billions of dollars, and the books have been out for years. If the books are good enough, the movie would be good. But you know what? They don't have to make movies off of the Expanded Universe books. In fact, I didn't expect them to. And not my wildest imagination what I think Timothy Zahn's story or the New Jedi Order story was going to film. I did not think that at all. What I was hoping for is they would continue the story after the books. Because remember, the book characters have aged the same age as the actors in real life. So they could conceivably just pick up where they left off. They don't have to mention what happened to them for the past 30 years. Remember in my past video I said that? Well, get this. You know what Disney could have done? They could have done? Why not go ahead and throw this series 200 years into the future? Maybe you could have the descendants of the Skywalkers and Solos. Maybe not if you don't want it. That way, you can have it within the Star Wars universe and actually have your own Disney reboot. You can create your own characters. You can create your own new villains. You can do whatever you want. And then keep the Expanded Universe fans happy because now their story can continue. Keep the casual fans happy because now they don't have to read all the books to enjoy this new Star Wars trilogy. Oh, wait a minute, but I want Carrie Fisher. I want Luke Skywalker. I want Han Solo in my film. Okay, well do something like Star Trek Generations did. Have them in there for a few minutes, maybe do a little something, and then it flash forwards way into the future, and maybe even those actions impact something in the future, and maybe they come back in the future as holograms to give a dying message or whatever. That'd have been fine. In fact, that'd have been more proper than having them star in the movie. Folks, I don't think that's the best idea. I'm not saying that they're all too old and it wouldn't be fun to see them on screen, even though I've heard that argument. But look at this. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher. When was the last time they starred in a movie? Was it 1983, Return of the Jedi? Yes, it was. Okay? Early 80s. That's the last time they starred in the movie. They've done guest star appearances, sub-characters here and there, but they have never held their own film since the early 80s. This is a bad idea. What about Harrison Ford, though? He's done plenty of movies. He's going to be great. Really? Let's talk about Harrison Ford here. Harrison Ford has said in past interviews, look him up, that he doesn't like Han Solo. He thought he was a one-dimensional character, rather boring to play. And when asked, would you play him again? Would you reprise him? He said, oh, no, I wouldn't. Well, wait a minute, you wouldn't do it? Well, why are you doing it now? Oh, right, money. You're doing it for the money, which is always a good reason to do a movie, just for money, right? Yeah, don't do it because you love it. Don't do it because he's a one-dimensional character. You really don't care about him, but I'll do it for the money. This is a great idea, especially since he's mailed in his past 5 performances in his other movies, right? He's just not as good. He just doesn't care anymore. Just all about the money, right? And that's what it's going to give him. Oh, spoiler alert. Han Solo will die in Episode 7. You heard it here first. Okay? He's going to die. He has made an agreement with Disney. He wants to do Indiana Jones movies. And so the agreement with Disney is they have to have an Indiana Jones script ready by 2016 for him to do, because that's what he wants to do. And that's why he's going to do this movie. Yeah. Did you know that? Why is Disney doing 7, 8, and 9? Because according to Lucas, there was no 7, 8, and 9. Let's read a few quotes here. George Lucas, he says, do you think there's going to be, a story past Episode 6? He went, but there is no story past Episode 6. There just is no story. It's a certain story about Anakin Skywalker, and once Anakin Skywalker dies, that's kind of the end of story. There's no story about Luke Skywalker. I mean, apart from the books, and that's what he says, apart from the books. And he talks about the, 3 worlds there. But anyway, no Episode 7. Well, then Total Film asked him in 2005 again, what about Episodes 7, 8, and 9? And he writes, I have left explicit instructions for there to be no more features. There will definitely be no 7 through 9. That's because there isn't any story. I mean, I never have thought of anything. You see, Lucas was fine with the expanded universe moving on with the adventures past Jedi, because in his mind, There was no story. There was no story. So let them have free reign and do whatever they wanted with that. Now, if you recall, there were always limits. They could not go back 20 years in the past. They couldn't talk about the Clone Wars or young Anakin Skywalker. So I do believe that he had the first 3 prequels always in mind that he may do them. That's why for years in the expanded universe, though anything past, Star Wars was usually off limits. The closest they ever got was that Droids comic book. It took place 10 years before Star Wars, and George Lucas only approved of it because it just had R2-D2 and C-3PO and none of the main characters. There's a strict rule that no main characters be seen in that because Lucas had plans to make prequels. He didn't have plans to make sequels. There was no plans. In fact, if you don't believe me, let's listen to the man himself. Let's listen to George Lucas. Let's listen to a few interviews here. Here's an interview of him.
The thing about Star Wars is it kind of grew into what it is. It's not really a sequel. It was actually designed as 3 films, and it was actually written with a backstory and everything as 6 films. That's why I say there won't be any more after this because I haven't written any more after this.
There's Springs Eternal.
Yeah, there's they've written books, sequel books and everything, which is fine, but this is the only part that I actually created myself, and I created it 30 years ago, and I'm trying to finish it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Hey, you want to see another interview? This is from 60 Minutes here when they're asking about if there's going to be another movie. Ready?
60 Minutes overtime.
Here we go.
What if someone else beside you came to you and said, I want to make episode 7? Could you see that happening?
No.
No, absolutely, positively, you're really closing the door without any wiggle room whatsoever.
Right. There is no episode 7.
Even for someone else to come up with.
Like Disney.
Well, there's possibility there may be another offshoot movie somewhere about an offshoot character in that world.
But not episode 7.
But not about Luke Skywalker, not about that group of people and that struggle to bring democracy back to the galaxy.
Which is the storyline for episode 7, isn't it? What? Now, you know what? George, I know, is saying, oh yeah, here's some ideas for 7, 8, and 9. But he never wanted them to happen. Absolutely not. That's his quotes. These are from a couple of years ago. Okay? He didn't want to make them. So, wouldn't it be nice if Disney maybe honored that decision, put it 200 years into the future, had their own storyline? Heck, we would even go see it, right? Expanded Universe fans, we would go see that. We would buy their new books, their comic books, their video games based off that futuristic world. We would. We'd be loving it. And then plus we could have the old Expanded Universe. Everyone wins. Everyone wins. Disney didn't even consider that option. Because it's all about making the money, and the fastest way to make the money, we need to have the originals in it. Because everyone will come to the movies if they see the originals in it. So, we're going to continue this. Part 2 next week. Believe me, you do not want to miss it. See you later.